Hello YouTube, LD50 here, back with a Borderlands video, and today we're going to be taking a look at Melee Zane. A non-traditional Zane build, but with melee damage scaling at Mayhem levels, then melee, or certainly using the face puncher and abusing the melee mechanics, is a very viable build. In fact, I'm finding that these builds are equally, if not more powerful than most regular gun builds. You may have seen my other videos, Melee Flak and Melee Amara. I'll leave links in the description to check them out. But today we're going to concentrate on Melee Zane. So, we're going to use our action skill active. Weapon damage is increased by 200% face puncher. We also carry a trick unforgiven for crit swap. That's not necessary in most gameplay. Very useful for bosses, that sort of thing though. I haven't got a com at the moment because we're going to discuss the skills. I'll put the com on afterwards, but I'm currently using a seeing dead com. This is revolving around the Brawl Award. Now I've managed to get myself a level 1 Brawl Award. You can get yourself a level 1 item by the Lost Loot method, and I urge you to Google Lost Loot method level 1 gear Borderlands 3. There are many guides on YouTube, more in depth and more knowledgeable than me. The other method you can use is to bring a character in split screen, a low level character, and farm Grave Ward with your main character. Then all the loot that drops in cooperation will also drop at the level of the character you bring in, and my experience of this is the lowest level Brawl Award you will achieve with this method is a level 5. I'm going to be using a recurring hex with cryo and the on grenade throw, weapon grenade and action skill damage. This build is about keeping our action skills active all the time, so an ASE anointment is not desirable at this instance. We're going to be using a knife drain white elephant. The knife drain will help keep us alive, and the white elephant is where we're going to get our main damage from. Now if you don't know the interaction between the face puncher and the white elephant, the face puncher, being melee damage only, cannot crit. However, the sticky bombs from the white elephant, melee attacks have a 30% chance to attach a sticky bomb. These sticky bombs can crit if you hit the crit area. So the idea with this build, as in the other two melee builds, is to use the face puncher, aim for the crits, and allow the sticky bombs to work their magic and give us massive damage. I happen to have AoE effect damage and melee damage on this particular artifact. The action skill cooldown rate is not particularly advantageous. It might be better to have just general weapon damage or some other passive that suits you. However, this one is working for me. And then finally, I'm going to be using the Seeing Dead com. This one isn't particularly fancy for melee. It does have splash damage and weapon damage, which are always useful. The pistol damage obviously not so much. The reason I'm using the Seeing Dead com is we are going to use the drone, and the drone will proc kill skills. So it's helping to keep our kill skills alive all the time, as most traditional Zane builds do. I may be revisiting this build in the future with different comms, but I'm going to wait for the level cap at 65 before I go desperately trying to farm good alternative comms. Right, let's delve into the skill trees. We're not paying much attention in undercover. We're really trying to get down to brain freeze here, and I've put points into adrenaline. Now, with the Guardian perk topped off, action skill cooldown rate increases while at full shields. Well, with the Brawl Award, we want to be having our shield down all the time to get take advantage of the 300% melee damage while shield is depleted. And we want to be staying in our action skill all the time. We need to get down the tree. We don't want to put any points into ready for action because we don't want our shield to come back. We want to keep it depleted all of the time, and we don't want to increase the size of the shield, which makes it more difficult to break. So our only choice really here is to put points in adrenaline. In a way, these are wasted points because topped off works better. However, it is a Brawl Award. It is a low level Brawl Award. It will be down a lot of the time, so topped off won't be doing its magic anyway. And really we want the cooldown between fights. We want to manage our battlefield a little bit so that we're keeping our action skill up whilst we're in combat. But as you move between different combat areas, your action skill may fail or end, and obviously you want that to come back ready for the next saute. We're going to put all 5 points into Brain Freeze. The critical hits will be achieved by the sticky bombs. Obviously the face puncher does not crit, but the sticky bombs do. And then finally I'm putting a single point into Confident Competence. Now again, we want our Brawl Award to be down all of the time. However, when it is not down, when it has come back and we haven't had it broken, we're unable to break it, this will give us a little extra damage to compensate. This is just a single point to compensate for the times when the Brawl Award is actually not depleted. We're going to go have a look at the blue tree now. Again, fairly typical for Zane. 5 out of 5 in violent momentum for the gun damage while moving, and obviously violent speed to get us moving. We'll talk about our Mayhem modifiers in a minute. Speed Demon might make this redundant. However, we do need to get down the tree, and certain things do and don't work. Salvation does not work with the face puncher, so we don't want to put any points here. The face puncher is also a fairly small magazine, with a magazine of 6 or 8 depending on the parts. So extra reload speed is going to help our DPS. Single point into drone delivery because we want our drone to be delivering our grenade. Our grenade, if you recall, is an on-grenade throw, giving us 25% damage increase on all damage. Grenades. Weapons. And action skill. So, every time this grenade is thrown, our clone will gain increased damage, we will gain increased damage, and the grenade that we threw will have increased damage. Moving down the tree, we'll put a point into Death Follows Close because anything that extends kill skills is useful with Zane, and obviously increasing the actual kill skill bonus, 25%, not to be sniffed at. Now, need to put some points. I've put points into Violent Violence. There's no point putting points into Playing Dirty. This is a single point from the comm. Let me take the comm off so you can see. It just happens to be that that's the comm I've got. Using a comm that puts points into Playing Dirty with the face puncher is a bit redundant. It only gives you a chance to fire an additional projectile, and on a weapon that already has 7 projectiles, that's just going to increase it to 8. So not a particularly great skill for using multi-pellet shotguns. So we're going to put our points into Violent Violence to give us a little bit extra fire speed or fire rate. We're doing that really to get down to Good Misfortune. We want to get our single point into here because that will help to keep our action skills up. and whilst we have our action skills up, we are getting a full 200% weapon damage on this weapon. Then finally we're going to go down the clone tree. We want to get all the way to the bottom to double barrel because we want to give our clone the face puncher. We want to have 5 out of 5 in borrowed time because we want to extend the duration of our action skill. Essentially we want to try to keep these action skills up for the entire time that we're in combat. 5 out of 5 in synchronicity because that gives us an extra gun damage. I believe that this works with the face puncher. I haven't seen to the contrary, but we also do need to get down the tree. Points into Premunitus may be a little bit wasted because of the size of the magazine. 3 out of 3 points in here is only going to take our face puncher from a 6 to a 7 mag, which seems to be, in my opinion, quite a waste of points. So I've put my points here. I feel that it's doing damage. I may revisit this build in the future as my understanding of Zane and the interactions with the face puncher improve. 5 out of 5 in Donnybrook, of course. That's going to give us health regen and gun damage. We don't want to put any points in fractal frags because we want our clone to be shooting. We don't want him stopping shooting and throwing grenades because that's just not what we want. We want him to shoot the gun. Shooting the gun will kill things and it will also help keep us alive. It's a knife drain white elephant we're using, if you recall from here. So the clone will also help to keep us alive. I've put 5 out of 5 into duct tape mods. 20% chance to fire a grenade. 1 in 5 chance. It's not a great chance. We need to get down the tree. So it seemed to me to be the best place to put the points, or the least damaging place to put the points. We don't want to put a point in quick breather. Normally for a clone build we would want to put our points here because we want to help keep our clone alive by swapping, but with the knife drain we will not need that. Also, we don't want our shields to be recharging. We want to keep our brawler ward down as much as possible. Putting a point into Old Jew is our friend in case we get into real trouble and we can't get up. At least we can sacrifice our clone. 3 points into Supersonic Man. Gives us extra movement speed, and with Zane obviously movement speed is damage. You possibly could put your points into here. We are using Boom Enhance, which is going to consume grenades every time we summon our Digiclone. However, we're hoping to be summoning just once per battle encounter, so we may find that pocket full of grenades is not really that useful. I've chosen to put my points into Supersonic Man, and we want to obviously get down to double barrel because swapping places with our clone will increase the gun damage, and also we are able to give our clone a copy of our weapon, which is the face puncher. So that is our build. With regard to our augments, I am currently using binary system and doppelbanger. Doppelbanger is really useful if you want to kill your action skill between encounters. So say we were moving between one area and another on Athenas where there's no combat. We don't want to leave our clone in the previous area. We can kill our clone and it will have refreshed itself ready for the next encounter. I'm using binary system because the Cryonova might be useful, but any augment that suits you would be good. Which one's real might be interesting to keep the heat off you, but there's no great advantage to that. We're not speccing into Trick of the Light, and really which one is real is sort of works with Trick of the Light. The reason we're not speccing into Trick of the Light is it's not a massive amount of damage, and we can actually slow ourselves more than we can assist ourselves. Whilst it is true that frozen enemies take extra melee damage, I have found in combat that the 36% bonus cryo damage from Trick of the Light does more harm than good. The augments we will use on our drone, Winter's drone, to convert sentinel weapons to cryo, and I'm using Boomsday. You might like to use Bad Dose instead, or whichever augment suits your playstyle. These are the ones that work for me currently. And then lastly, we'll have a quick look at our Guardian rank and our Mayhem levels. Guardian rank, for this build, you do not want to have shield reboot enabled or emergency response enabled. We are not wanting to get our Brawler Ward shield back quickly. We want it to stay down all the time. So anything that interferes with that is not really wanted. Unfortunately, I can't turn off some of the survivor perks here. Shield capacity, shield recharge delay, and shield recharge rate. To disable those, I'd have to disable the entire Guardian rank, and that would mean that we would no longer have access to Groundbreaker. Groundbreaker is a fantastic skill. It's very deep in the tree, and obviously you need to put in a lot of points. A minimum of 125 points are needed for Groundbreaker. But if you do invest into the Guardian rank to get this skill, you will find a noticeable improvement in your melee damage. And then finally, we're going to have a very brief look at the Mayhem mode modifiers. Now, currently Gearbox have an event on, which means that every modifier is going to be easy. What I would say is that when this reverts, it would be advantageous to choose modifiers that work well with this build. Now, I would recommend something along the lines of Speed Demon for easy, Healy Avenger for the hard difficult, Drone Ranger for the little bit harder, for third modifier down, and then for the very hard modifier I actually use Holy Crit, and I understand that that is reducing the damage from body shots, and the clone is more likely to be hitting body shots, but I am aiming for crits myself, and the sticky bombs will do crit damage, so the 25% increase to crit damage I've found is worthwhile. However, if you choose to play with one of the other hard modifiers because that suits your playstyle, then choose the one that works best for you. This game is all about finding what works best for you. This is only what works best for me. Right, we're going to take a little jaunt over to Athenas and run through until Captain Traunt, just to show how this build is working out. We may do some more challenging content after that as well, and then we'll revisit the build briefly at the end and provide a recap. I will be putting a link to the build in the description to this video. Please check it out. Right, I'll see you over at Athenas. Welcome back. We're here at Athenas and we're going to run Melee Zane through this map, taking on the mobs and sort out the final boss, Captain Traunt. It's not the most challenging of maps, but it is very linear and it is very predictable in its spawn patterns, which makes it ideal for demonstrating builds. One thing to note with this build is we really want to pay attention to barrels, because once the Brawler Ward is depleted, we will be very squishy. Plenty of damage there.
Got any more for the meat grinder?
And there we go, first area cleared without any drama. We'll kill our clone, ready for the next area. It is somewhat of a shame that we can't kill the drone as well. That may be something that Gearbox introduces with the fabled 4th skill tree that we're being tempted by.
Parents will be ashamed of you. Not a pint, but it'll do.
And there we are, area taken care of. Let's kill the clone again. And let's pop him out. When he comes back. There we go. It's worth noting that the movement speed from Violent Violence will affect the output of the sticky bombs, so keep moving fast. Even if you're not shooting, the sticky bombs that you've landed will gain increased damage from the movement speed. It's very likely that we're going to lose the drone before the next area. And in fact we may just wait here for it to return. As I mentioned before, it would be useful to be able to kill the drone when we required, so we can manage our action skill uptime a little bit better, but it's not part of the program yet. Drone is back, let's move forward.
Are you seeing this? Open your bloody eyes!
Let's manage the barrels a little bit here. Barrel.
I was made for this!
Area cleared, let's move on. Let's pop our clone round the corner, ready for when the badass spawns in. We'll dispatch our clone, ready for the the boss, so we don't inadvertently teleport ourselves back up here on accident. We may also well just allow our drone to come back, and whilst we're doing that, we just want to have a little talk about the shield that we're using and why we're using it, and what other options might be. So, as we discussed in the main part of the build video, this is revolving around the Brawl Award shield, and we are making sure that we keep this shield depleted as much as we can, and to help with that we have disabled a couple of the Guardian perks, Shield Reboot and Emergency Response. Now, a lot of melee builds in Borderlands 3 use alternative shields like the Stinger or the Frozen Heart, and most people like to have the action skill start anointment on these, so that when they start their action skill they trigger the Nova from the Spike Stinger or from the Frozen Heart. As we are trying to keep our action skill alive all of the time, and you know, keep our clone and our drone out there all of the time, this anointment is not particularly useful, and I'm not aware of an anointment that would even make it useful. I've found better luck using the Brawl Award. If you wanted to use either of these shields with the melee build and Zane, you'd have to have a different approach. You'd have to concentrate on not extending your action skill time, so you wouldn't spec into borrowed time, for instance, and you definitely wouldn't spec into good misfortune, because you'd want your action skills to have their natural length to be able to use them more frequently, or to activate the anointment on the shield. I find that a little bit clunky to play. I happen to think this is a smoother way of playing Zane, even if it is slightly less damage. So our drone is just about to come back, and we will go down and take on Captain Traunt. Let's pop him down here and see if we can't get round the back and put some damage into his crit spot. Either I will or the clone will. And there we go. Captain Traunt, you are toast. Right, I think we will nip over to Grave Ward now just to try a boss kill. We will alter our setup a little bit. We're going to change to a Firestone White Elephant, which will give us fire damage on our melee shots, which is good for Grave Ward because he's weak to fire. And I expect we'll be using the It's Piss Grenade just for that little extra 20% damage boost that we get. So I'll see you over at Grave Ward, and we'll see how we get on. Right, here we are over at Grave Ward. We have equipped a Unforgiven, and we've equipped our low-level hazardous sellout. We have our It's Piss Grenade, and we have our Firestone White Elephant. For the incendiary damage, Grave Ward is weak to fire. The 20% increased damage for 6 seconds from the It's Piss is also a welcome addition for a boss fight. One thing to note, that this Face Puncher I have now equipped a ×14, which will give us a greater chance of landing those sticky bombs and hopefully make the fight a bit easier. Also note that with this particular anointment, once you swap away from the gun to a different gun, this anointment becomes inactive and will only reactivate upon starting the action skill again. So if we move away from the Face Puncher to the Trick Unforgiven and we haven't completed the job and we have to swap back to our Face Puncher, we will find that that anointment is no longer active. Shouldn't be a problem though. I think we'll have plenty of damage against Gravewood here. We'll deploy our drone to begin with. We'll pop our clone out here, and we're going to wait for Gravewood to present his left arm with his large crit orb, which will make it a bit easier to land some critical hits. So we'll pop clone over there, strip our shield, go back to our face puncher, swap to our Unforgiven, and with the bonus crit damage that the Unforgiven provides, we have done him in 3 shots. So just a quick recap there. We had a ×14 face puncher with the action skill active. Weapon damage is increased by 200% anointment. Our trick Unforgiven to swap to for the bonus 432% critical hit damage applied to the sticky bombs. Our low level sellout, which we've used to break our Brawler Ward shield. Our Seeing Dead Com, our Firestone White Elephant, and our It's Piss Grenade. Recapping the build again: Hitman, Violent Momentum and Violent Speed are giving us extra damage to the sticky bombs whilst we run around. Obviously we didn't take Salvation because this skill doesn't work with the face puncher. We've given ourselves plenty of reload speed because the face puncher, either the ×7 or the ×14, have smallish mags. Drone delivery to deliver our chosen grenade, working all the way down to at least get 1 point into Good Misfortune to allow us to keep our action skills active for longer. Our double agent tree, again, lots of points into Synchronicity, Donnybrook, Borrowed Time. We've put points into Duct Tape Mod really to get us down the tree. Whilst this is only a 1 in 5 chance, it did some extra damage, but it's not something we rely on. It's more using it to get down the tree. We want to avoid Quick Breather because we don't want to recharge our shields. We're taking Old U for the safety of being able to get a second wind off of our clone. Boom Enhance to give us extra gun damage, fire rate, reload speed, and Digiclone duration when we deploy our Digiclone. Obviously double barrel all the way down there to give our clone the face puncher. And then a few points into the green tree undercover. Obviously we're leaving alone ready for action because we need to keep our shield down. So we've put some points into adrenaline. We've put points into brain freeze because the sticky bombs should proc brain freeze if they land on a critical hit, and competence just to give us some extra gun damage for when our shield is not depleted. Guardian rank. With this build we want to turn off our shield reboot and emergency response perks to help keep our shield down. And the modifiers I'm using at the moment, obviously we talked about this in the build, the event is on at the moment, so it's only easy modifiers. When the event ends this Thursday, these will revert to the regular modifiers you would see for Mayhem level 10. So that is the Melee Zane build. We've demonstrated it with some mobbing, and we've demonstrated it with a boss. At some point I expect I'll take this build through the Guardian takedown, and we may well record that run to see how well we do. But this has been the build video for now. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please consider leaving a like and consider subscribing to the channel. If you have found it useful, please give it a go. You may find that this actually suits your playstyle. Anyway, that's the build video. I've been LD50, you've been lovely, and I will see you in the next one.